I drive pretty aggressively, we'll say. And I have been blessed to have received only a few speeding tickets in my entire driving life. But one day I was living in California, driving up from Sunnyvale, near San Jose, where I lived, up to San Francisco for a meeting, and I was running a little late. So I was flying up Highway 280. It's a very beautiful highway going through the hills. There were the hills on the side, and the fog was rolling in. And the road was pretty empty because it was a Saturday morning and hardly anybody was out. So I'm flying up the highway, and I look back in the rearview mirror, and sure enough, there's some flashing lights. And I thought, oh my gosh, maybe he's not after me. But he pulls up right behind me, flashes his lights, and I thought, oh, I guess I'm caught. So I pulled over, I get a ticket, and I decided to go to one of the all-day traffic schools so that I could get it all over with in one fell swoop. So a few months go by, I go to traffic school, and there are about 40 people in this class. And the instructor starts the class, and she's talking to the class. She has us all introduce ourselves. One of the people in the class was a firefighter. He was a really big, burly guy with a really big, booming voice. And you could just see him rushing into a burning building, picking up bodies, carrying them out, saving lives, and then going to the local tavern and downing a keg of beer. And he was like a big, burly guy. And he talked the whole morning. He interrupted the instructor. He got angry and fought with her about the person who gave him the ticket and what was wrong with them. And for every person in the class who said something, he had either some advice or a suggestion or a comment about it. Now, you know when you're in a room and there's somebody like that and you start to get really irritated, and then pretty soon you notice all the people around you are also getting irritated, their eyes start to roll, and they start groaning. We were at that point. And I was sitting there thinking, I should say something to him. Since I'm a communications expert, I should say something. And I thought, why should I bother? I'm never going to see this guy again. What possible benefit on earth could it be? He probably will take my head off, and I'll be hurt. Why should I do this? But I kept, every time he opened his mouth, I thought, oh my God, I can't stand a whole day of this. So I thought, I'm going to say something to him. So we get to the first break, and I'm about to approach him when I see him walking out with somebody else, giving her his sage advice, I'm sure, on something she had said earlier. And I thought, oh, I'm off the hook. So I turn around to pick up my things, and when I turn back around to leave, he's standing right in front of me. And I thought, I guess I'm not off the hook. So he gives me whatever sage advice he had for me about something that I had shared. And when he finished, I said, you know, I'm glad you came over. And I'm afraid to say this because I don't know how you're going to react. But every time you open your mouth, I get irritated. And then I stood there. And his reaction was, I'm sorry, I get a lot of that. And I thought to myself, I bet you do. And he said, I'll try to be better. And I thought, wow, well, that turned out a lot differently than I expected. Great. So we walked out. We had a really nice conversation over break. We came back in. And after the break was over, the instructor starts talking again. He raised his hand. She called on him. He said 2 sentences and stopped. I was like, wow, that was great. Time goes on. She calls on him again. He raises his hand. She called on him. He said his 2 sentences, put his hand down, stopped talking. One more time. He raised his hand. She didn't call on him right away. He kept his hand up, politely, quietly. She called on him. He said a couple of sentences and stopped. I was like, wow, this is great. One more time, he raised his hand. She, again, didn't call on him right away. And this time, when she does call on him, before he speaks, he turns to me, and he says, how am I doing? The whole class turned to me like, you said something to him? And I said, you're doing great. Thank you. I'm proud of you. You're doing fabulous. This is great. So we never know what's going to happen when we make those requests. So start where you are. I was afraid if I said anything, he was going to get angry. So when we do that, it really does kind of take the wind out of their sails and lets them feel where you are so that it's not you attacking them, it's just you expressing. Thank you.